over some of the more difficult questions in for the ACP practice test, and I'm also going to give you some really easy tricks to help you. Okay, so the first one I'm not going to go over. Second one I'm not going to go over. Those should have been okay. Third one, or I'm sorry, number 4. Number 2 was one that you had a graph. So we'll go over those more in class. Okay, number 4. Number 4 says 2 companies are trying to sell laptops to a school district. The table shows the total cost for laptops purchased from each of the companies. How many laptops would the school district have to purchase for the cost to be the same for both companies? Okay, so I have 2 different situations here. So right away, you need to be thinking systems of equations. Whenever you have 2 different equations or things are comparing, you always need to just think system of equations. So when I have 2 tables, I can go ahead and put those into Desmos so I can get my 2 equations. These ones are going to be actually a little bit easier because they're automatically going to be in slope-intercept form. And when I'm trying to figure out when they're going to be the same for both companies, that's where they want me to find my point of intersection. Whoa, I will clear all that out. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put in for company 1. So I have 1, 425. Now notice this is not counting by 2s, it jumps to 3. So please pay attention to your numbers. 3, 475. Okay, so my equation for company 1 is y equals 25x plus 400, right? Yes, plus 400. Okay, now let's go ahead and do the same thing for company 2. So company 2, I'm at 1 and 250. So we have 1 and 250. Oh my gosh. And let me make sure I'm writing the right thing. 3 and 350. Okay, so my equation here is y equals 50x plus 200. So y equals 50x plus 200. Now again, these are really nice. I hardly have to do much math because they're already in slope-intercept form. And so if I look at my graph here, they're already plotted for me, right? And you don't have to scroll your finger. If you just kind of like tap on the line, you're going to see that little gray dot pop up. And there it is. It pops up right there. That is our point of intersection. That is when these 2 equations are going to meet and when they're going to be the same. It's at 8 and 600. So my point of intersection is 8 and 600. So when I'm trying to figure out about the laptops, how many laptops for when the cost will be the same, I'm going to go back to my table. Well, I know laptop stands for my x variable and the cost stands for my y. And so if I look at my point of intersection, I know this stands for x, this stands for y, which means this value stands for my laptops and my y value stands for the cost. So my answer here would be 8 laptops. Okay, I'm going to skip number 5. Hopefully you knew from this situation when it says each bracelet. I said I'm going to skip it, but I'm doing it real quick. So that's discrete. So right away, I hope you were able to take away A, take away B. You're looking for the range or the output. So hopefully you solved that one correctly. Okay, here I'm going to start teaching you a little bit of quick tricks. Okay, so this one says the table contains some points on the graph of a linear function. What is the equation of a line that contains the point negative 12, 12 and is perpendicular to the function represented by the table? Okay, so perpendicular, I know my slope, for perpendicular, this is the mathematical symbol, and that is my clue for a flip and switch. Okay, so I first need to figure out what is my original equation, right? So I have a table here, but they didn't give me the equation, so we have to go and figure that out. So we're gonna pop over to Desmos here and type in our points. So I have 2, -3 5/10, and 4, -2. And there's my equation. Now, if you notice, I have a decimal there, right? But I need to do my flip and switch, and I can't flip a decimal, right? So I need to change that to a fraction. Now this is a nice little friendly decimal. It's a terminating decimal, so I can just put that in, hit my fraction key, and it's gonna give me my fraction, which is 3/4. So now I have y equals 3/4x minus 5. Okay, so now let's do our perpendicular slope. So again, I know perpendicular slope means to flip and switch. So I'm going to go ahead and flip my fraction. So it's going to be 4/3. And I'm going to switch, which means it's going to go from positive to negative. That is my perpendicular slope, which is -4/3. Okay, here's where I'm going to teach you a little trick. Now there's a lot more math you could go ahead and do for this, but here comes my trick. If you look at your answer choices here, they're all in standard form, right? And so a real quick way you can get your slope in standard form is doing -a/b. So let's just do a real quick refresh. Standard form looks like this. So if you take your a value and turn it negative and put it over your b value, that gives you your slope. So here I'm looking for my perpendicular slope, which is -4/3. So I can go ahead and look at my answer choices and see which one matches my perpendicular slope. So all my values next to x are my a, and all my values next to y are b. And again, my quick trick on getting the slope is -a/b. So this first one here, if I change the a value, which is 3, make it negative and put it over 4, or put it over my b value, and I get -3/4, which does not match this, so that's not my answer. Okay, next one, same thing. I have -3, this time over -4, which would give me +3/4. That also does not match. Answer choice C, I have -4/3, and yes, that does match. Let's go ahead and just do this last one, -4, and this would be over -3, which would give me +4/3. So yeah, that does not match. So that's just a real quick way you can test and see and find your slope. And we're actually going to do that same thing for this one. Now here it says, what is the slope of the line represented by the equation 2x + 4y = 5? Now again, we could do a lot of math to go ahead and change this to slope-intercept form, but we can also use what we did above to find the slope in standard form is just -a/b. So if I do that for this equation, I'm going to do 2, make it -4, and my slope is -1/2 for this equation. And that's what I'm looking for. It says, what is the slope of the line represented by this equation? So my answer would be B. Okay, number 8, I'm going to go ahead and skip just because of time. We will go over much more of those in class. Number 9 should have been easy. Just remember f of x is the same thing as y, right? So if it just helps you even to rewrite it. And we love slope-intercept form because you can just plug it in and get your answer. Number 10 should have been really easy. You have 2 points, make a table, find the slope. Number 11 also should have been relatively easy. what value of y makes the equation true. So when you're solving for a variable and you have it on both sides, remember you can't use x or y, so you would just change your variable to a different letter and change your equal sign to a tilde, and you would get your answer. Okay, number 12 should have been okay. Okay, 13, we're still getting mistakes on this one. This was asking for domain, which are our x values. So remember, when we write domain or range, what always goes in the middle is what you're looking for. And I have a closed circle here, and I have an open circle here. So domain, remember, stands for your x values. So you want to know how far along the x-axis your function travels. If I was looking at the range, I would care about how low and how high, but I do not care about the range right now. I just care about my domain. So I care about how far it travels on my x-axis. So here I'm at -9. And 3. And again, I have a closed circle, so I know that's going to have that or equal to sign. And that is an open circle, so it will not have that. Okay, keep going. 14 should have been relatively easy. I saw some confusion on that one. A lot of people knew it wasn't A, wasn't B, and you were stuck probably between C and D. So A is a correct answer, and again, here's this keyword plus, which matches my equation. A lot of people pick D, but this is 65 songs were free, which means you don't pay for that, right? If it's free, that's not part of something you have to pay for, so that's why D was not the correct answer. Direct variation, we're gonna go over more of that in class. 16 should have been easy. Rate of change, remember that's the same thing as slope. All you had to do is plug that in. 17, same thing. It says which value of x makes the equation true. So I'm just solving for my variable, so I can change my variable to a different letter here and change my equal sign to a tilde and get my answer for x. Okay, number 18 is another one I'm gonna teach you a quick little trick for. So it says during game 3 of the basketball championship, San Antonio scored 97 points consisting of a 2-point and 3-point baskets. If San Antonio made a total of 45 baskets, how many of each type did they make? So there's a lot of clues here that hopefully, again, you're realizing that you need to do a system of equations, but even just looking at your answer choices, hopefully that kind of gives it away that you are setting up a system of equations. But I am going to show you, now this little trick does not work every time. Like if I just go back, I think I actually skipped this question. Not that one. You had, number 8, what I'm about to show you would not be a good trick because there's too many answer choices. But for what you would actually just have to go ahead and solve that. But for this one, since I only have 2 options for each one, this little trick I'm going to show you is going to be really, really quick. Okay, so during game 3 of the basketball, San Antonio scored 97 points. So I know right away that that is going to be a total. And I know it consisted of 2 points and 3 points. So I'm going to write 2 and 3 here. And I can go ahead and label this as 2 points, 3 points, and I'm just going to put that as X, and this is Y. And honestly, I'm just going to put game and game because they're talking about the same San Antonio game. And then we have that San Antonio made a total of 45 baskets. How many of each type did they make? So they're not telling me how much. So I'm just going to keep that as X and Y. I just know they scored 45, but I don't know what X and Y is. Okay, so for this one, you can do a real quick trick here. So I know if I took this out of this table, this is what this would look like, and my second system would look like this. Now again, this trick works because you don't have many answer choices to work with, so it's going to be probably a little bit quicker. So I can just go ahead and plug in. If I know 2 points stands for X and 3 points stands for Y, I can just go ahead and plug those in and see if they get 97. So I can just type in 2 times 7. What's the rest of my equation here? Sorry. Plus 3. Let me just scoot this over so you can see this better. Okay, plus 3, and instead of Y, I'm going to type in 38. And that gives me 128, which is not the same thing as 97. Okay, so I know that is not going to be right. And now let's see if I have any other for 7 for my X value, and I do not. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the second one. So I'm just going to go here and take out 7, and now I'm going to plug in 38 for X and 7 for Y. So 38 for my X value and 7 for my Y value. So 38 here and 7 here. And that gives me 97. Okay, well that matches so far, right? So far, so good. Now I'm gonna plug it in for X and Y here and see if it gives me 45. So I'm gonna plug in 38 plus 7. And if I get 45, which I do, then I know that is my correct answer. Now, you could obviously go ahead and solve each system and put it in slope-intercept form and graph it. But if you, I don't know, I just want to expose you to a few quick tricks in case you want to use them. Okay, 19 should have been okay. Parallel, so here you had to, it says graph the line of the graph of a line of a linear function is shown on the grid. What is the equation of a line that contains point -15,4 and is parallel to the function represented by the graph? So parallel, remember that we have our slope twins. Okay, well I first obviously have to get my equation here, right? So I'm going to find 2 perfect points so I can write the equation of this line. So here's 1 point, I'm at 1, 4, and 0, -1. So we can go ahead and plop that into Desmos, and it will get our slope-intercept form, so 0, -1. And we have y equals 5x minus 1. So y equals 5x minus 1. And I am looking for a parallel line, right? So right away, I know that 5x has to be my slope. So I know C is not right, and I know D is not right. Okay, so my last step is then I have to solve, right? So here's my point. I'm going to go ahead and put that in my table. So this is step 1, step 2, step 3 is our equation. And then step 4 is just to enter in my parallel slope. Okay. So let's go ahead and do that. So I have y equals, all right, y equals 5x minus 1. Step 2 is my table with my point, which is -15 and 4. Step 3 is to enter in our equation, y1 tilde mx1 plus b. And then step 4 is to enter in our perpendicular slope, which is the most important part. Don't forget to add in your slope, which is 5. And I get my y-intercept is positive 79. So going back to our problem here, I can see that A is my correct answer.